The massive crystal hall stretched for miles above the surface of Vexara Prime. Inside this grand building, representatives from 12 different alien species sat in a perfect circle. Each seat was made from precious metals found across the galaxy. The Dominion Empire had ruled space for over 3,000 years, and today they would decide the fate of a new species they had recently discovered. Admiral Kang Dae-ho stood in the center of the hall. He wore his best Earth Defense Force uniform, but it looked simple compared to the shining armor and flowing robes of the alien representatives around him. The human delegation was small, just himself and President Park So-min. They had traveled for 6 months to reach this place using their slow fusion drive ships. Counselor Thixian Prime rose from his seat. He was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow in the crystal light. His forearms moved gracefully as he spoke, and his voice echoed through the hall. Today we discuss the species called humans from the planet Earth, Thixian Prime announced. They have somehow managed to leave their home system and now claim they want to join galactic civilization. Laughter filled the hall. The sound came from beings with tentacles, scales, fur, and skin colors that humans had never seen. Some aliens made clicking sounds, others hummed, but all were clearly amused. Admiral Kang kept his face calm. He had expected this reaction. Earth's technology was indeed far behind these advanced civilizations. Their fastest ships took months to travel between nearby star systems. These aliens could make the same journey in days. "Let us examine their capabilities," said another counselor, this one covered in silver scales. A hologram appeared above the center of the hall showing images of Earth's military. They use primitive fusion engines. Their weapons fire metal projectiles and basic energy beams. Their largest ships are smaller than our escort vessels. More laughter echoed around the room. Admiral Kang noticed that some aliens were not even paying attention anymore. They seemed to think this meeting was a waste of time. President Park stepped forward. She was a small woman compared to the towering aliens, but her voice was clear and strong. "Honored representatives, Earth seeks only peaceful relations with the galactic community. We offer friendship and trade." Thixian Prime's 4 eyes focused on her. "Trade? What could your primitive world possibly offer us? We have technology that can reshape planets. We can create energy from nothing. Our ships travel faster than your people can think. We have resources," President Park replied. "Our planet is rich in minerals. Our people are hardworking and creative. Resources?" The silver-scaled counselor laughed again. "Child, we can create any element we need. We can build new worlds if we require more space. Your tiny planet has nothing we cannot make ourselves." Admiral Kang felt anger building inside him, but he forced himself to remain calm. These beings truly believed humans were like insects compared to them. They saw Earth as nothing more than an interesting discovery. Thixian Prime walked down from his platform. His long legs carried him in smooth strides until he stood directly in front of Admiral Kang. The alien towered over the human, casting a shadow across his face. "Admiral Kang Dae-ho of Earth," Thixian Prime said slowly. "Do you understand where you are? This hall has seen the rise and fall of hundreds of species. Some joined us willingly. Others had to be taught their place through force." "I understand perfectly," Admiral Kang replied. "You rule this part of the galaxy through strength." "Correct." Thixian Prime smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "And your strength is amusing. Your entire fleet could not defeat one of our scout ships. Your weapons would barely scratch our hull plating." The alien counselor reached out with one of his 4 hands and placed it on Admiral Kang's shoulder. The touch was not gentle. "Here is what will happen, little human. Earth will become a tributary world of the Dominion Empire. You will provide us with raw materials. Your people will work in our mines and factories. In return, we will allow your species to continue existing." President Park stepped closer. "And if we refuse?" Thixian Prime turned his glowing eyes toward her. "Then we will provide your species with gentle correction. We are not cruel beings. We will simply remove your ability to cause trouble. Your ships will be destroyed. Your leaders will be replaced with ones who understand proper behavior." The other alien representatives nodded in agreement. This was clearly how they had always handled new species. Some aliens seemed bored, as if this conversation happened too often. "What if Earth needs time to consider your offer?" President Park asked. Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Thixian Prime waved one hand dismissively. "Time? Very well. Your species amuses us. We grant you 1 standard galactic year to make your decision. That is more than generous." Admiral Kang knew that one galactic year was about 14 Earth months. It seemed like a long time, but he also knew it was meant to be an insult. The aliens were so confident in their power that they could afford to wait. During this time, Thixian Prime continued, "Your ships will remain in your home system. Any attempt to expand beyond Earth's immediate space will be considered an act of aggression." The meeting was clearly over. Other alien representatives were already rising from their seats and leaving the hall. Some did not even look at the human delegation as they walked past. As Admiral Kang and President Park prepared to leave, Thixian Prime spoke one last time. "Admiral, I want you to understand something. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours. We have fought wars across entire galactic arms. Your people are children playing with toys compared to us. Accept your place and you will live. Persist, and you will learn why the Dominion Empire has ruled for 3 millennia. The two humans walked out of the Crystal Hall in silence. Their small shuttle waited outside, looking tiny next to the massive alien ships that filled the sky. As they flew away from Vexara Prime, Admiral Kang finally spoke. "What do you think, Madam President?" Park So-man looked out at the stars. "I think they have no idea what they're dealing with." Admiral Kang smiled for the first time since arriving at the alien world. "Director Choi will be pleased to hear that the timeline is still good." 14 months should be more than enough, President Park agreed. "Project Quantum Gate will be ready long before then." As their ship jumped to faster than light speed using borrowed alien technology, neither human mentioned what they both knew. The Dominion Empire had made a critical error. They had assumed that Earth's visible technology represented humanity's true capabilities. They would learn the truth soon enough. Back in the Crystal Hall, Thixian Prime was already planning how to divide Earth's resources among the Dominion's member species. He had no doubt that the humans would submit when the deadline arrived. They always did. He had no way of knowing that at that very moment, in hidden facilities across Earth's solar system, 200 warships were nearing completion. Ships that could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Ships that would soon teach the Dominion Empire that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you underestimate. 6 months had passed since the meeting on Vexara Prime. On the dark side of Earth's moon, hidden deep inside ancient craters, the most secret military base in human history hummed with activity. The base had no name on any official record. The people who worked there simply called it the facility. Dr. Kim Hye-jin walked through corridors carved from solid rock. Her white lab coat was wrinkled from working 18-hour days for the past 3 years. She carried a tablet filled with calculations that would have seemed like magic to most people. As the lead physicist for Project Quantum Gate, she held secrets that could change the galaxy forever. The elevator took her down 3 miles below the moon's surface. When the doors opened, she stepped into a massive chamber that stretched further than the eye could see. Hundreds of technicians worked on sleek black ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. These were not the clunky fusion-powered vessels that the aliens had mocked. These were something entirely new. Captain Yoon Ji-ho stood beside one of the completed ships. He was a test pilot who had volunteered for the most dangerous job in human history. 3 times he had climbed into experimental vessels and vanished into the unknown. 3 times he had returned with data that brought the project closer to success. "Dr. Kim," Captain Yoon called out as she approached. "Ship 7 is ready for the next test." Dr. Kim nodded and checked her tablet. "All quantum field generators are stable. The neural interface is responding properly to your brainwave patterns." She looked at the ship more closely. It was beautiful in a deadly way. The hull was made from materials that did not exist naturally anywhere in the universe. Human scientists had learned to create new elements by studying how consciousness itself affected reality at the quantum level. Director Choi Sung-min joined them at the ship. He was a tall man with gray hair who rarely smiled. As head of Earth's Special Projects Division, he carried the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. "Captain Yoon," Director Choi said, "today we test the full distance jump. Mars to Proxima Centauri in 1 step." The captain nodded. He had made shorter jumps before, but this would be the real test. Proxima Centauri was over 4 light-years away. Even the Dominion's fastest ships needed 3 days to make that journey. Dr. Kim watched as Captain Yoon climbed into the ship's cockpit. The interior looked almost empty compared to normal spacecraft. There were no complex navigation computers or massive engine controls. Instead, The pilot sat in what looked like a meditation chair, surrounded by strange crystalline structures. The breakthrough came from studying ancient practices, Dr. Kim explained to a group of military observers. Korean shamanic traditions, Buddhist meditation, even some old Taoist techniques. We discovered that human consciousness naturally creates quantum entanglement fields. Lieutenant Commander Park Min-seo, the navigation specialist, monitored the ship's systems from a control room. Her screen showed readings that would have confused any alien scientist. Instead of tracking fuel consumption or engine temperature, she watched brainwave patterns and consciousness resonance levels. All systems green, she reported. Neural amplifiers are active. Quantum field is stable at 97%. Inside the ship, Captain Yoon closed his eyes and began the process that made teleportation possible. He focused his mind in ways that ancient Korean monks would have recognized. His breathing slowed. His heartbeat became steady. Most importantly, his consciousness began to resonate with the quantum fabric of space itself. The ship around him started to change. The metal hull began to vibrate at frequencies that human ears could not hear. The crystalline structures glowed with soft blue light. Energy patterns flowed through the vessel like water through channels. Quantum entanglement field reaching critical resonance, Lieutenant Commander Park announced. Jump sequence in 10 seconds. Dr. Kim held her breath. Years of work had led to this moment. If the test failed, they would have to find another way to defend Earth. If it succeeded, humanity would possess technology that even the mighty Dominion Empire could not understand. 5 seconds. Park counted down. 3, 2, 1, jump. The ship vanished. One moment it was there, solid and real. The next moment it was gone, leaving only empty space where it had been. No flash of light. No energy signature. No spatial distortion. It simply stopped existing in that location. The control room fell silent. Everyone stared at empty space where the ship had been. Dr. Kim checked her instruments. According to every sensor they had, Captain Yoon and his ship had completely disappeared from reality. Minutes passed, then an hour. Some observers began to whisper that something had gone wrong. Perhaps the ship had been destroyed. Perhaps Captain Yoon was lost forever in the space between spaces. Then Lieutenant Commander Park's communications panel came alive. Moon base. This is Captain Yoon. The pilot's voice crackled through the speakers. I am in orbit around Proxima Centauri. The planet looks exactly like our telescope showed us. The jump was perfect. Cheers erupted throughout the control room. Dr. Kim felt tears running down her face. Director Choi actually smiled for the first time in months. Beginning return jump now, Captain Yoon reported. See you in a few seconds. The ship reappeared in exactly the same position it had left. Captain Yoon climbed out of the cockpit looking perfectly normal, as if he had just taken a short trip around the moon instead of traveling to another star system. Report, Director Choi ordered. Sir. The jump was instantaneous from my perspective, Captain Yoon said. I closed my eyes on Earth's moon and opened them in another solar system. No time passed. No sensation of movement. One moment I was here, the next I was there. Dr. Kim ran her hands over the ship's hull. The metal was cool to the touch. No heat from engines. No radiation from fuel consumption. The vessel had traveled 4 light years without using any conventional energy at all. How is this possible? Asked one of the military observers. Dr. Kim turned to face the group. Aliens evolved natural abilities to manipulate space and time. They use biological processes we don't fully understand, but humans evolved something different. We developed consciousness that can directly interface with quantum reality. She gestured to the ship. We built technology that amplifies what the human mind can naturally do. Every person who meditates deeply knows that consciousness is not limited by physical space. We just learned how to use that fact. Director Choi called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed the first successful test of Project Quantum Gate. In 8 months, the Dominion Empire will come to Earth expecting to find primitive humans with slow ships and basic weapons. He walked to a wall display that showed the hidden construction areas throughout Earth's solar system. Red dots marked 200 shipbuilding facilities, each one producing vessels like the one Captain Yoon had just tested. Instead, they will face a fleet that can appear anywhere in space without warning. Ships that can attack from impossible angles and disappear before the enemy can respond. Dr. Kim looked at the completed ship with pride. The aliens think they understand the universe because they mastered faster-than-light travel. But they still think in terms of point A to point B. They cannot imagine technology that ignores distance completely. Lieutenant Commander Park brought up tactical displays showing Earth's defensive plans. With 200 teleporting ships, we can surround any enemy fleet instantly. We can attack their command vessels while their escorts are still trying to locate us. Director Choi nodded. The Dominion Empire has ruled through superior technology for 3,000 years. They have never faced an enemy that could teleport. They have no tactics for fighting ships that appear from nowhere. Captain Yoon cleaned his helmet as he prepared for another test flight. Sir, what happens after we defend Earth? The aliens will know we have this technology. Then the galaxy will learn that humanity is not as primitive as we appear. Director Choi replied. The Dominion Empire has grown lazy from centuries of easy victories. They assume their way is the only way to achieve faster-than-light travel. Dr. Kim checked her tablet again. We have 8 months to finish construction and train our pilots. 200 ships, 200 captains who can interface with quantum consciousness fields. She looked around at the hidden base, at the impossible ships, at the people who had worked in secret for years to reach this point. The Dominion Empire mocked Earth because they thought they knew what humans were capable of. They made their judgment based on what they could see. They never considered that our real strength might be hidden. As the team prepared for the next test, none of them knew that similar scenes were playing out in bases across the solar system. On Mars, in the asteroid belt, in hidden facilities on Jupiter's moons, humanity was preparing for war. The countdown to confrontation had begun. When it ended, the galaxy would never be the same. 14 months had passed since the ultimatum. The Dominion Empire's deadline had arrived, and with it came the largest military fleet that had assembled in this part of the galaxy for over a century. 500 warships hung in space beyond Pluto's orbit, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor and bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Fleet Admiral Yang Seung-ho stood in Earth Defense Command, watching the displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. He was a calm man who had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. Around him, dozens of officers monitored communications, tracked ship movements, and coordinated Earth's response. The alien fleet was impressive by any measure. Massive dreadnoughts the size of cities formed the core of the formation. Around them, sleek destroyers and cruisers moved in perfect patterns. Support ships carried enough firepower to level continents. The aliens had brought enough force to conquer. 10 worlds like Earth Captain Lim Da-un observed the enemy from her position. Aboard the stealth ship Silent Arrow, her vessel was hidden in the shadow of one of Neptune's moons, invisible to alien sensors. Through her ship's advanced telescopes, she could see the confidence in the alien formation. They moved like predators who had never known defeat. Command, this is Silent Arrow, Captain Lim reported quietly. Enemy fleet consists of 12 dreadnoughts, 40 heavy cruisers, 120 destroyers, and over 300 support vessels. They're maintaining standard Dominion attack formation. Commander Hwang Jae-sung reviewed the tactical data from his position at Earth Defense Command. The aliens were doing exactly what human intelligence had predicted. They approached Earth with overwhelming force, confident that sheer numbers would guarantee victory. Sir, Commander Hwang said to Admiral Yang, they're positioning themselves for a classic siege bombardment. They plan to sit beyond our weapons range and destroy our infrastructure piece by piece. Admiral Yang nodded. They want to break our will before we can even fight back. Standard Dominion tactics when dealing with primitive species. A communication signal came through from the alien fleet. The main display showed the image of Thixian Prime, now wearing the uniform of an invasion commander. His forearms spread wide in a gesture of absolute authority. Humans of Earth, Thixian Prime's voice echoed through the command center. Your time for consideration has ended. I see your pathetic defensive fleet arranged before your world. 50 ships against 500. Do you still refuse to accept your proper place in the galactic order? Admiral Yang stepped forward to respond. He appeared calm and professional, showing no sign of fear or desperation. Commander Thixian Prime, Earth's answer remains the same. We decline your offer of submission. Thixian Prime's four eyes narrowed. Behind him, other alien officers could be seen preparing for battle. Then you choose extinction. Very well. Your species will serve as an example to other worlds that might consider resistance. The alien commander gestured with one hand, and the transmission ended. Immediately, the Dominion fleet began moving into attack positions. Their formation was textbook perfect, designed to maximize firepower while minimizing losses. Captain Lim watched through her telescopes as the alien ships spread out across space. "They're taking their time," she reported. "No rush, no urgency. They think this will be easy." Admiral Yang smiled for the first time that day. Good. Confidence makes them predictable. On the main tactical display, Earth's visible fleet moved into what appeared to be desperate defensive positions. 50 human ships, looking tiny compared to the alien armada, arranged themselves between Earth and the approaching enemy. To any observer, it seemed like humanity was about to make a brave but hopeless last stand. The alien fleet continued its advance. Dreadnoughts moved ponderously forward while destroyers raced ahead to probe Earth's defenses. Energy readings spiked as massive weapons began charging for the opening bombardment. Commander Huang monitored alien communications. "Sir, they're coordinating target assignments. Each dreadnought is selecting human cities to destroy. They want to break us quickly." Admiral Yang walked to the command center's main window. Earth hung below them, blue and peaceful. Millions of people lived their lives on that world, unaware of how close death was approaching. But Admiral Yang was not worried. Earth had secrets that the Dominion Empire could not imagine. "All defensive positions. Report status," he ordered. "Mars Command ready," came the first reply. "Asteroid Base 7 operational," said another voice. "Jupiter Station standing by," reported a third commander. To anyone listening, it sounded like Earth had military bases scattered throughout the solar system. The aliens would assume these were conventional installations with standard weapons. They had no way of knowing the truth. The Dominion fleet reached their optimal firing position, 500 ships arranged in a formation that had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their weapons locked onto targets across Earth's surface, cities, military bases, industrial centers, all marked for destruction. Thixian Prime's voice came through the communications again. "Humans, this is your final chance. Surrender now, and we will spare your civilian population." Admiral Yang's reply was simple: "No." The alien commander's image disappeared from the screen. Moments later, energy readings spiked across the entire Dominion fleet. Hundreds of weapons began their final charging sequences. The bombardment of Earth was about to begin. Captain Lim tensed in her hidden position. "Command, enemy weapons are hot. They're preparing to fire." Admiral Yang checked his chronometer. Everything was proceeding exactly according to plan. The alien fleet had committed to their attack formation. They were grouped together for maximum firepower, confident in their overwhelming advantage. "Signal all defensive units," Admiral Yang ordered. "Prepare for quantum storm protocol." Commander Huang's fingers hovered over his control panel. Across the solar system, 200 hidden bases received the preliminary activation signal. In each facility, a sleek black ship powered up systems that the aliens could not detect. The Dominion fleet opened fire. Brilliant beams of energy lanced across space toward Earth's defensive positions. Plasma bolts and particle beams lit up the darkness between worlds. The aliens expected to see human ships exploding under their superior firepower. Instead, Earth's conventional fleet began evasive maneuvers that kept them just barely alive. The human ships took damage but did not break formation. They fired back with their primitive weapons, scoring minor hits on alien shields. Thixian Prime watched the battle with satisfaction. "Pathetic," he said to his officers. "Their weapons cannot even penetrate our armor." Continue bombardment. Target their command vessels. The alien fleet concentrated fire on what appeared to be Earth's flagship. The human ship's shields flickered and failed. Its hull began to crack under the devastating assault. To any observer, it looked like humanity's last hope was about to die. Admiral Yang waited until the alien fleet had committed completely to their attack pattern. Every enemy ship was focused on the targets in front of them. They had eyes only for the human vessels they were destroying. "All units," Admiral Yang said quietly, "execute quantum storm protocol." Commander Huang pressed a single button. 200 hidden facilities across the solar system activated simultaneously. In each base, a black ship vanished from reality. Pilots who had trained for years in quantum consciousness techniques guided their vessels through space that existed between spaces. The Dominion fleet continued firing at Earth's conventional ships, unaware that the real battle was about to begin. They celebrated each human vessel they destroyed, counting down to total victory. They had no idea that at that exact moment, 200 ships were materializing throughout their formation. Ships that appeared from nothing. Ships that the aliens could not see coming because they traveled through dimensions that conventional sensors could not detect. Captain Lim watched in amazement as the impossible began to happen. "Command," she whispered, "you magnificent bastards. You actually did it." The age of human surprise was about to begin. The Dominion Empire, rulers of the galaxy for 3,000 years, was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming. Admiral Yang smiled as he watched the tactical display. In a few seconds, the aliens would discover that Earth had been hiding the most advanced military technology in galactic history. The real war was about to start. Reality tore apart and remade itself in an instant. Where empty space had existed around the Dominion fleet, 200 human warships suddenly appeared. They materialized without warning, without energy signatures, without any indication they had ever traveled through normal space. Captain No Yunseo felt the familiar sensation of quantum translation as her ship Thunder's Edge emerged directly behind the alien flagship. One moment she had been in a hidden base on Mars. The next moment she was 3 kilometers from Thixian Prime's massive dreadnought, close enough to see the alien crew through their transparent hull sections. The Dominion fleet's perfect formation had become a trap. Human ships appeared above, below, and within the alien vessels. Some materialized so close to enemy ships that their hulls almost touched. The aliens had arranged themselves for maximum firepower against distant targets, never imagining that enemies could appear inside their defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Kim Woo-jin, weapons officer aboard Thunder's Edge, had trained for this moment his entire career. His targeting computers locked onto the alien flagship's engine sections before Thixian Prime even realized what was happening. "Captain, we have perfect firing position on the command ship," Lieutenant Kim reported. "All weapons ready." Captain No smiled grimly. "Fire everything." Thunder's Edge unleashed a devastating barrage of kinetic projectiles and energy beams directly into the alien flagship's rear sections. The human weapons, dismissed as primitive by the Dominion, punched through shields that had been calibrated to stop attacks from the front. Within seconds, the massive dreadnought's engines were crippled. Across the battle zone, similar scenes played out as human ships struck with surgical precision. The aliens' advanced technology meant nothing when enemies appeared where they were impossible to detect. Commander Bae Young-suk, intelligence officer aboard the stealth ship Midnight Runner, intercepted alien communications as panic spread through their fleet. Her translation computers worked frantically to keep up with the flood of confused reports. "Ghost ships," screamed one alien captain. "They appear from nothing." "How are they inside our formation?" demanded another commander. "Impossible!" Thixian Prime's voice cut through the chaos. No species has technology that advanced. But the evidence was undeniable. Human ships continued to materialize throughout the alien fleet, striking critical targets before vanishing again. The teleporting vessels attacked engine rooms, weapon systems, and command centers with devastating accuracy. Admiral Yang watched the battle from Earth Defense Command with quiet satisfaction. The tactical display showed red markers indicating disabled alien ships appearing faster than his computers could count them. "Status report," he ordered. 18 alien vessels completely disabled. Commander Huang reported. 43 more with critical damage. Our ships are moving to Phase 2. Phase 2 was even more terrifying from the alien perspective. Human ships began appearing and disappearing in rapid succession, making it impossible for the Dominion fleet to target them. A human vessel would materialize, fire a devastating salvo, then vanish before the aliens could respond. Captain Yoon Ji-ho, now commanding the ship Phantom Strike, demonstrated the new tactics perfectly. His vessel appeared directly above an alien cruiser, fired a full spread of missiles into its hull, then disappeared before the explosions even reached their target. 5 seconds later, he materialized behind a different enemy ship and repeated the process. The aliens had no defense against enemies that ignored the basic rules of space combat. Their shields were designed to stop attacks from predictable directions. Their weapon systems needed time to track and lock onto targets. Their tactical computers were programmed for conventional warfare against enemies that moved through normal space. None of that helped against foes who could appear anywhere without warning. Thixian Prime's flagship limped through space on emergency power. Half his bridge crew was dead or injured from the human attack. His forearms shook with rage as he tried to understand what was happening to his fleet. "Report," he screamed at his surviving officers. "Sir, we have lost 68 ships in the first 20 minutes, came the terrified reply. "Human vessels are appearing throughout our formation. Our weapons cannot track them." "How is this possible?" Thixian Prime demanded. "They had primitive technology."
"Slow ships."
"Basic weapons." On his main screen, he watched a human vessel materialize directly in front of one of his destroyers. The small human ship fired a single shot that punched through the destroyer's bridge, killing everyone inside. Then it vanished, leaving the alien warship to drift helplessly in space. Lieutenant Kim coordinated with other human ships to maximize their devastating impact. Thunder's Edge to all units. Priority targets are command vessels and carriers. Disable their ability to coordinate. The human fleet had trained for this exact scenario. Each ship knew its role. Some focused on heavy combat vessels. Others targeted support ships and supply vessels. A few specialized in communications jamming and electronic warfare. Captain Lim watched from her hidden position as the alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships that had moved in perfect formation now scattered in panic. Some tried to retreat. Others fired wildly at empty space, hoping to hit human vessels that were no longer there. "This is incredible," she reported to Admiral Yang. "They're completely helpless against teleporting ships. It's like watching adults fight children." The aliens' superior technology became worthless when they could not predict where their enemies would appear. Shields that could stop planet-killing weapons failed to protect against attacks from impossible angles. Sensors that could detect ships across solar systems could not track vessels that moved through quantum space. Commander Bay continued monitoring alien communications. The reports grew more desperate with each passing minute. "Request immediate reinforcements," one captain screamed. "We cannot fight ghosts," cried another. "Fall back. All ships fall back," ordered a third commander. But even retreat was difficult when enemies could appear on any side of their ships. Human vessels materialized behind fleeing alien vessels, crippling their engines before they could escape. Within 30 minutes, the mighty Dominion fleet was reduced to floating debris and disabled ships. Thixian Prime finally managed to restore communications with his surviving vessels. Less than 200 ships remained operational out of the 500 that had approached Earth so confidently. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Maximum speed! Get us out of this system!" The remaining alien vessels activated their faster-than-light drives and fled toward the edge of the solar system. They left behind wrecked ships, escape pods, and the shattered remains of their reputation as the galaxy's dominant military force. Admiral Yang allowed them to leave. His mission was to defend Earth, not to pursue a beaten enemy across space. "Stand down from combat alert," he ordered. "Begin search and rescue operations for alien survivors." Commander Huang looked surprised. "Sir, we're going to help them?" "We're not monsters," Admiral Yang replied. "We defend ourselves when attacked, but we don't slaughter helpless enemies." Captain No brought Thunder's Edge alongside a damaged alien ship and began broadcasting on standard emergency frequencies. "Dominion vessel, this is the human ship Thunder's Edge. Do you require assistance?" The alien response was filled with confusion and fear. You offer help? After defeating us?" "War is over," Captain No replied simply. "Now we help who needs help." As human ships began rescuing alien survivors, word of the battle spread across the galaxy through Dominion communication networks. The message was simple but shocking. Earth had defeated the Empire's mightiest fleet using technology that seemed impossible. Commander Bay intercepted dozens of alien transmissions carrying news of the human victory. Each report described the same impossible events: ships that appeared from nothing, enemies that could not be tracked or targeted, a primitive species that had humiliated the galaxy's greatest military power. The Dominion Empire, rulers of space for 3,000 years, had been beaten by a world they had mocked as primitive. The implications would reshape galactic politics forever. Admiral Yang looked out at the wreckage floating in Earth's solar system. "Send a message to all Dominion territories," he ordered. "Earth seeks peace with all species, but we will defend ourselves against anyone who threatens us." The age of human military power had begun. The galaxy would never again underestimate the species from the small blue world. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy had changed completely. News of humanity's impossible victory spread to every corner of known space. The Dominion Empire, once the undisputed rulers of 12 star systems, now faced rebellion on 6 worlds and calls for independence from their remaining territories. President Park So-min stood in the grand conference hall on the neutral world of Kepler Station. The same aliens who had mocked humanity now treated her with fearful respect. Some avoided eye contact entirely. Others spoke in whispers when they thought she could not hear them. The Peace Summit had been requested by the Dominion Empire themselves. For the first time in their 3,000-year history, they were asking for terms from a species they had once considered primitive. Admiral Kang Dae-ho, now promoted to Minister of Galactic Relations, watched the alien delegates with quiet satisfaction. Many of these same beings had laughed at him during that first humiliating meeting on Vexara Prime. Today, they hung on every word he spoke. The conference room was filled with representatives from dozens of civilizations. Word of Earth's teleporting fleet had reached every corner of the galaxy. Species that had never dared challenge the Dominion Empire now sent ambassadors to meet with humanity. Fleet Admiral Yang Seung-ho sat beside President Park, wearing his dress uniform decorated with medals from the Seoul Defense. He had become famous across the galaxy as the human who had defeated the mighty Dominion fleet. Alien military officers studied recordings of the battle, trying to understand tactics that seemed impossible. At the far end of the table sat the former counselor Thixian Prime. He no longer wore the flowing robes of a Dominion leader. His arms were bound with ceremonial chains, marking his disgrace after the failed invasion. The alien who had once mocked humanity now faced judgment for his military incompetence. President Park rose to address the assembly. Her voice carried clearly through the hall, translated into dozens of alien languages by advanced computers. Representatives of the galactic community, she began. Earth comes to this summit seeking peace and mutual respect among all species. A murmur ran through the alien delegates. Many had expected humanity to demand tribute or territory after their stunning victory. Instead, Earth's leader spoke of cooperation. We propose the following terms, President Park continued. First, recognition of Earth as an independent galactic power with sovereignty over our home system. Second, establishment of fair trade agreements between humanity and all interested species. Third, the creation of a new galactic council with representation for all species, not just the Dominion Empire. Admiral Kang watched as the alien delegates whispered among themselves. The terms were remarkably generous, considering humanity's overwhelming military advantage. Earth could have demanded much more after demonstrating their technological superiority. A representative from the Altarian Confederation stood to speak. His species had been under Dominion rule for 800 years. President Park, what guarantee do we have that humanity will not simply replace the Dominion as our new overlords? President Park smiled gently. Because conquest was never our goal. We developed our defensive capabilities to protect Earth, not to rule over others. We seek trading partners and allies, not subjects. Dr. Kim Hae-jin, now recognized as the architect of humanity's technological breakthrough, sat in the observers section. She had been invited to explain Earth's teleportation technology to the gathered scientists and military leaders. An alien physicist, his scales shimmering with nervous energy, addressed her directly. Dr. Kim, your teleportation technology appears to violate several fundamental laws of physics. How is instantaneous travel possible? Dr. Kim stood to reply. Our technology works by interfacing human consciousness with quantum reality. We discovered that awareness itself can create stable wormholes when properly amplified. The alien scientist's eyes widened. You mean your ships are guided by thought? In a way, yes, Dr. Kim confirmed. Human meditation practices naturally generate the brainwave patterns needed for quantum entanglement. Our ships amplify and focus these mental states to achieve instantaneous translation through space. A collective gasp ran through the alien delegates. Several species had spent millennia trying to develop faster methods of space travel. The idea that humans had solved the problem using consciousness itself was almost unthinkable. Thixian Prime finally spoke, his voice bitter with defeat. How long have you possessed this technology? Admiral Yang answered calmly. We began development 40 years ago, immediately after our first contact with galactic civilization. We knew we would eventually face species with superior conventional technology. You deceived us, Thixian Prime accused. You pretended to be primitive while building a secret fleet. We never lied about our capabilities, President Park replied. You made assumptions based on incomplete information. You saw our civilian technology and assumed it represented our military capabilities. Minister Kang leaned forward. Your mistake was thinking that visible technology tells the complete story about a species' potential. Humans have always been innovators. When faced with superior force, we find new solutions. As the discussions continued, it became clear that the galaxy's power structure had shifted permanently. The Dominion Empire's member species were already declaring independence. Worlds that had been oppressed for centuries now looked to Earth as a potential protector. A delegate from the Crystalline Collective asked the question many were thinking. What are humanity's intentions regarding galactic expansion? Fleet Admiral Yang stood to respond. Earth has no plans for territorial conquest. However, we will defend any world that requests our protection against aggression. This statement sent shockwaves through the assembly. The humans were offering to become the galaxy's peacekeepers, using their teleporting fleet to protect smaller species from larger empires. Dr. Kim was approached by dozens of alien scientists wanting to understand teleportation technology. She politely explained that the process required specifically human neural patterns to function properly. Could other species learn these techniques? Asked a desperate Dominion researcher. Perhaps, Dr. Kim replied diplomatically. But it would require fundamental changes to how your species thinks and perceives reality. The meditation practices we use took humans thousands of years to develop. What she did not mention was Earth's next project. Hidden research facilities were already working on permanent quantum gates between star systems. Soon, humanity would be able to create instant transportation networks across the entire galaxy. As the summit continued, former enemies became potential allies. Species that had feared the Dominion Empire for centuries now saw hope for freedom under human protection. President Park announced Earth's establishment of the Galactic Defense Initiative. Any species threatened by aggressive expansion could request human intervention. Earth's teleporting fleet would respond to protect innocent civilizations. The announcement transformed galactic politics overnight. Smaller species rejoiced at having a powerful protector. Aggressive empires reconsidered their expansion plans when faced with enemies who could appear anywhere without warning. Thixian Prime, facing trial for his failed invasion, made one final statement. You have doomed the galaxy to chaos. The Dominion Empire brought order to the stars. Without us, there will be endless war. Admiral Kang's response was calm but firm. Order built on oppression is not true peace. The galaxy will be safer when all species are free to choose their own destiny. 6 months later, Earth's influence had spread to dozens of star systems. Human ships appeared wherever aggression threatened peaceful civilizations. The teleporting fleet became known as the Ghost Squadron, protectors who struck from nowhere and vanished before enemies could respond. The former Dominion territories formed new governments based on cooperation rather than conquest. Trade networks developed between species that had never interacted as equals. Scientific knowledge flowed freely between worlds that had once been separated by imperial barriers. Thixian Prime remained in prison, a reminder of the price of underestimating humanity. His trial had revealed the extent of Dominion oppression across the galaxy. Many alien species thanked Earth for ending 3,000 years of authoritarian rule. Dr. Kim's research continued in secret, developing technologies that would further revolutionize galactic civilization. Permanent quantum gates, instantaneous communication across infinite distances, methods of terraforming that could create paradise worlds in months rather than centuries. As Admiral Yang observed Earth's growing fleet patrolling human space, he reflected on how quickly everything had changed. A species once mocked as primitive had become the galaxy's most powerful military force. But more importantly, they had used that power to protect rather than conquer. The age of human galactic leadership had begun. Earth would face new challenges as other species sought their protection or tested their resolve. But humanity had proven that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from superior weapons, but from the wisdom to use power justly. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that combines innovation with moral courage. Earth had claimed its place among the stars not through conquest, but through the demonstration that true strength serves justice rather than ambition.